Hi guys, I figured I should make a quick start video since I don't have any actual documentation and it's far from obvious when you first open Scribe as to what you're supposed to be doing. The first thing to do is press Ctrl-O. This allows you to open your music file. Scribe supports almost any music format. In this case, I've got an MP3, but it would also load videos from load music from a video file, for example, or any other kind of audio. Anyway, once it's in, you can press space. To start or stop the music. And you can look around. There's multiple ways to look around. The first is using the arrow keys. You've got right and left, or you can zoom in by pressing up, zoom out by pressing down. You can have the same using the mouse if you hold down the middle button and drag left or right, or you can use the scroll wheel to zoom in or out. And for the Mac version, you'll be able to use the usual pinch or swipe gestures to zoom and scroll. So the first thing you want to do is mark some beats, and the way you do that in Scribe is by playing the music and just tapping enter in time with the beats. The point of this is to synchronize the notes that you're going to be, the notation that you'll be writing later with the original music. So here goes. Okay, that'll do for the moment. I've got 4 bars worth of beats, and now Scribe makes it very easy to loop these bars. So if I select the time by going up to the beat axis up the top here, and I just drag. Now if I play now, it'll loop that section. Cool. The other thing that happens after you put some beats down is Scribe starts playing like a metronome talk on each of those beats, which you can't hear because this particular track is quite loud. So I'm going to turn the volume down just on the music by pressing page down. And still can't hear it, so I'm going to turn the volume of the notated stuff upwards by pressing Shift and page up. You can see in the top right the volumes are represented. So you can now hear a woodblock during the playback, and I'm quite happy the beats are in the right place. So I'm going to turn it off by pressing T. Next thing is we want to be able to write notes. So to be able to place notes, we need something to put them on. We need a musical staff. And we get one of them by pressing this little plus button in the bottom left. If you press the left button, you get a treble staff. If you press the right button, you get a bass clef. It's still early days. Scribe doesn't have the decency to actually draw a treble clef or a bass clef, so you kind of have to remember which ones you put down. Okay. Now anywhere you've got a staff and beats, you can start putting notes down, which you do just by right-clicking. Of course, I'm nowhere near with the actual music, so let's get rid of those ones. When I'm transcribing, I like to start with the bass. So let's have a listen. Okay, so here's an example of masterful transcription skills. I just took a guess for the original note, and then as the music kept looping, I would press you press hash after selecting a note. To select the note, you just left click on it, and then you can press hash to make the note sharper by one step, or you press at to make the note flatter. And as you saw, I just kept doing that until I happened to hit the correct note. So there's another bass note in here somewhere. So it's halfway between these beats. Now you can see that the note changes color as I move along, and that's to indicate your position within the beat. So if you're exactly in line with the beat, it's red, or if you're halfway between the beat, it's red. And then halfway between those positions, so a quarter way is blue, and 3/4 is blue again. And if you go halfway again, so the 1/8, you've got yellows. And the other colours in there is a purple and a pink, and they're on the triplet positions. So it's just to give you some visual indication of where you're putting the notes before you actually click the right button. Now I've forgotten what I was doing. Right, there's another bass note here. Cool. The other thing about notes is if you hold down the right button instead of just pressing it, it brings up a menu with numbers, which is the duration of the note, which is measured in beats. So 4 would be a whole note in music notation. Yeah, music theory. In this case, I'm going to put a 2 in because I don't want to extend it further than the actual bar. Anyways, this gives you a basic idea of what you can do with Scribe. Once you have a couple of notes down, you can effectively manipulate them by selecting them all at once. And then you can either drag them around to somewhere else, or you can make them flatter or sharper, or if you don't like what you've done, you can Ctrl-Z to undo and Ctrl-Y to redo. Cool, I hope that helps you all get started.